to Crude. So I don't know if you guys tracked what I was talking about on Friday, but the story that I posted Friday morning that said, why is Goldman Sachs wrong about $20 oil, after Goldman Sachs had come out in the morning saying $20 oil. That story of mine got more play than Goldman's story about $20 oil. And I was trying to point out the sentiment that can be tracked by using TheStreet.com because of the massive global viewership that the Street has. I'll show it to you again here. The Street has two channels. The left channel is called the main stack, underneath this video, which is annoying. When a story first posts, when they first post any story, and mine included, the story gets posted here, right underneath the lead story. Stocks open flat. That's interesting. They're calling down 50 flat. And as more stories come in, then it moves the story down. So here's my Dow story, Dow 15 or 13,000. Before they posted the Dow story, they posted my United Technology story, which has already been pushed off the main stack. So if you click this more, then it might show, yeah, here's the United Technology story. So on Friday, that happened to my why Goldman is wrong on $20 oil, and so many people had clicked it to read it that it moved it to the short stack. So it's happening again. Will the Dow find support at 15 or 13? So even though my story is way down here now in the long stack, people are clicking on it, and the more people click on it, if a certain amount, some threshold, click on it, it moves it to the short stack. And then if it continues to be clicked on and read by the crowd, if the crowd is interested in the story, then it stays on the short stack. And new stories that move from the long stack to the short stack will fall off, and the stories that get the most play will stay on. So we'll see what happens with this story. But if you paid attention over the weekend, the story about why Goldman is wrong in its $20 call stayed on all day Friday, all weekend, and the actual Goldman story fell off the short stack. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the crowd is now not really focused on lower crude. The crowd really is interested in higher crude. And when the crowd is interested in higher crude, what happens to crude? Type it in if you think what happens to crude when the crowd is interested in higher crude. Thanks, Brett. Brett, move your message sending to send to everyone rather than send to presenters. What Brett said was that crude should go higher. Yeah, that means that the sentiment of negativity is over, and the sentiment of positivity is currently manifesting. When the crowd manifests its sentiment, prices follow. In other words, crude was falling because the crowd was manifesting negativity towards crude. And we can see that's the benefit of the DSE, which uses, in part, Elliott wave and Fibonacci. We can see the manifestation in how the herd's mood changes, because Elliott waves track crowd mood. And when I saw the development of this rally, which breaks down into 3 subwaves, not 5, but 3, which tells us this is a correction. Just as I saw the manifestation of this rally up here in 2014, this was not an impulse but a correction. It allowed the DSE to forecast a huge crash in crude. And upon this corrective bounce, it allowed the DSE, and I wrote that, well, not only did the DSE tell us here that we would get up into the 60, 65 area, but when we got up there, I was able to write that the DSE was forecasting that this was not the lowest low in crude. A new low would come. It would be somewhere, and it would be somewhere below this 42 level, and as we got closer and closer and closer, I was able to refine the target of crude to 41, give or take 2, and then 40, give or take 2, and then 39, give or take 3, and the final low came in around 38. And at that time, I was able to post a story that crude's decline had ended. The entire decline since at least 2013 in crude was over at this low. And that is because the entire mood pattern, 300 years of chart pattern recognition, tells us that when this pattern concludes, and when it concludes in a way that wave 5 of the pattern is approximately equal to wave 1 of the pattern, and within wave 5, small wave 5, way down here, is approximately equal to small wave 1, way up here, then a big change is coming. Change is gonna come. Who wrote that? And so that's why although at the time of this low, I couldn't tell whether we would have one more low or not, so I put this red arrow in to say that we can't rule out one more test of the mid to high 30s. We can't rule that out yet. And so I have this red arrow as an alternate count. But now it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like this is the turn and this is the correction, and maybe we get to 41 or 42, and then we're out of here. And during this decline, and during this decline, and during the final part of this decline, you can see the articles on the street that said, prepare for a 50 to 100% rise in crude. In other words, from the 40 level, prepare for a move to between 60 and 80. 50 to 100% rise in crude in the next 12 to 18 months. Now look what's happened. Stochastics crossed up. They're out of this extreme oversold level, moving higher. These are the daily Stokes. Let's see what the weekly Stokes. Actually, that's the weekly Stokes. Daily Stokes did their thing. Let's look at the monthly stochastics. Blow this up. Monthly stochastics, what are they doing? Lower low in price, higher low in stochastics so far. And as long as there's no new low in price, stochastics are going to turn up from this higher bottom, and they're going to rise for many months, 12 to 18 months, if not longer, of crude rise, at least up into this pink box, which should be down here, 60 to 80, 50% to 100% move in crude off the $40 low. That's the minimum. If in fact we've seen the entire retest of the 2009 low, let me squeeze this up a little bit. Those of you that figured out how to screen capture can take a picture of crude if you like. Let me squeeze it up a little more. Take your picture, there it is. if this is the entire retest of the '09 low, then this blue arrow is going to take crude prices even higher. But since we don't know, we have to allow, after the 50 to 100% rise in crude, a rollover to a new low in crude. By the time prices get up here, we'll have a better indication of which path the blue up or the red down is going to happen. Until then, a little bit of risk, huge reward to be long. On the other hand, to be short, a little bit of reward, huge risk to be short. Where would you rather be? The DSE says buying actions only down here. Buying actions only. Higher, low, and stochastic on the monthly, going back to the weekly. Cross up already in the weekly. The daily on the upper right-hand corner. Cross up to the daily, got overbought, correcting the overbought, getting ready to go up again. Move to gold. Gold and crude look very similar.